Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aina Sahira. My matric number is A22A0884. I will present about case study 1. For the question 1, what is the importance of calculating national income? Answer for this question is evaluation of economic performance. A country's GDP is a crucial metric for assessing its economic performance. The second one is global economic context. For example, Malaysia's GDP growth may moderate if global economic activity slow down. The third one is policy decision making. To create efficient economic policies, the government and central bank always use GDP data. The last one, business planning. Business need to use the information from national income computation to inform their strategic decision making. Now we move to the next question. How the economic sector are important to support the economic growth? So the answer is well-developed infrastructure, including network for energy, transportation and communication. A well-developed infrastructure is essential to the smooth operation of business. The next one is competitive manufacturing sector, exporting goods and service, producing employment and advancing technology all depend on a competitive manufacturing sector. Next, a service sector. In contemporary economies, the service sector, which encompasses banking, travel and other service-oriented industry, often become a significant contribution to GDP. And the last one, substantial natural resources. Natural resources have the potential to greatly boost economic growth if they are managed sustainably. Okay, we move to the question number 3, tactics that governments generally use to deal with economic difficulties. So the answer for this question is monetary policy adjustment. The line alludes to the BNM statement from the November Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting suggesting that monetary policy may play a part. The second one, fiscal policy interventions. In hard times, fiscal policy can be used by government to boost the economy. And the next one, management of inflation. The expert in the case talk about how they think inflation will average 2.8% in 2023. Next, structural reforms to boost economic competitiveness, better regulatory frameworks and promote investment. Government may eventually think about conducting structural reforms. And next, working with international organizations. In light of the mentioned global handwise and the possible impact of external risks, the government may work with the international organization. And the last one, addressing high cost of living. The analysis expressed concern over the high cost of living. So for the last question, question number 4, explain two limitations of GDP measurement. So the answer is first, informal economic exclusion. Example include unregistered enterprise and informal employment, which together account for a large share of economic activity in many nations. The second one is living standard and environmental factors. For example, GDP does not take into consideration the distribution of wealth or the standard of living. Rather, it's measure of the economic output and the value of product and service generated inside a nation.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Muhammad Shafiq bin Sarizwan and I will be covering for case study 2. First question. Private consumption expenditure is an important role in determining the national income. Refer to the first paragraph. Discuss how private consumption influence the national income. Support with the graph. National income is usually determined by gross domestic product, reflecting the total value of goods and services produced within a country. Private consumption is essential in this calculation, and any changes in it can have a significant impact on the country's economic health. The graph on the right shows that an increase in private consumption seriously affects how a particular country views itself. If private consumption rises, then we have a rise in national income. Question number 2. Based on the case above, explain how the private consumption will influence the aggregate supply. Increases in the total amount of outlet and aggregate demand. Private spending, driven by retailer expansions and government support like fuel subsidies, has a dual impact on Malaysia's economy. More outlets open due to increased private spending, creating jobs and expanding the job market. On the demand side, private spending boosts customers' purchases aided by retailer expansions and positive sale forecasts. External factors like China reopening borders and stable commodity prices also contribute to overall demand. In essence, private spending is set to positively affect both supply and demand in Malaysia's economy. Question number 3. Suppose the government of Malaysia increases government spending on medical and educational expenses. Explain how the economy adjusts to the change in government spending. Increasing government spending on healthcare and education in Malaysia is expected to positively impact the economy. The move directly boosts consumer demand and economic activity through higher aggregate demand. This injection of funds also has a multiplier effect, fostering confidence among businesses and consumers, potentially leading to increased spending on various goods and services. Job creation in the healthcare and educational sectors is anticipated, contributing to lower unemployment rate and rising incomes, further encouraging consumer spending. Additionally, the long-term effects on productivity and skills in the sectors could enhance overall economic growth. However, policymakers must be cautious of potential inflationary pressures and ensure cost-effective spending for optimal results. Question number 4. Answer the question based on the table below. National income and disposable income. To find national income, the necessary items are compensation of employees plus gross profits plus gross rents plus tax on production and imports minus subsidies. After finding each value, excluding gross rents since it doesn't mention the table, we can then obtain the total amount of national income, which is 188 billion. Next, disposable income. The relevant items are national incomes minus personal income taxes plus transfer payments. After determining each value, we can then calculate the overall sum of disposable income, totaling 143 billion. That concludes my presentation. We will now move on to the next presenter.
Answer for question 1. Throughout January and February 2023, inflation permitted multiple components of the CPI with a primary emphasis on food and transport integral aspect of daily life. The escalating prices in these sectors significantly contributed to the overall inflationary pressures. Furthermore, health and education experienced noteworthy inflation reaching 1% and 1.4% respectively in October, making their highest increases since the onset of the pandemic. Answer for question 2. In my opinion, the government has instituted numerous measures to enhance the living standard of the B14 demographic. An exemplary endeavor is the augmentation of the SSR by the Ministry of Human Resources in collaboration with the SOSCO. Answer for question 3. In the short run, the term full capacity pertains to the maximum output economy and produce in the near future, considering its existing resources and technology. In contrast, long run full employment represents the highest sustainable level of employment and output an economy can achieve over the extended period, accounting for adjustment in all factors of production. Answer for question 4. Examining how technological advancement impacts an economic equilibrium, output and price level necessitates a comprehensive exploration of supply and demand dynamics. in the context of the provided graph, where the y-axis represents price and the x-axis signifies quantity, we can delve into how technological progress shapes the equilibrium point. Answer for question 5. A. With an increase in consumer disposable income, expenditures on goods and services tend to rise in the aggregate demand and short-run aggregate supply model. This prompts a rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve. B. As wages experience an uptick, businesses face a rise in production costs, initiating a leftward shift in the short-run aggregate supply curve. C. This policy involves an augmentation of government expenditures, inducing a rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve. For the last question, D. The destruction of factories diminishes the economy's productive capacity, resulting in a leftward shift in the short-run aggregate supply curve. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Iradayana binti Muhammad Rusti. My number matric is A22800509. Today I will answer the question for case study 4, which is break down the issue of rising prices of goods in a prudent way. For answer for number 1, which is question what is the inflation rate? The inflation rate is a measure of the percentage change in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over the specific period. In this article, mentioned that inflation rate for December 2021 is 3.2%. For answer number 2, the question is how to calculate the inflation rate with an example. The conclusion is inflation rate CPI current year minus with CPI previous year times with 100 and divide with CPI previous year. For example, if the CPI in the article for 2021 is 105 and the CPI in 2020 is 100, then the inflation rate will be 105 minus 100 times with 100 and divide 100, which is 5%. Based on the information in the article given, what causes inflation in the domestic market? The increases in inflation due to the prices of goods and services in the domestic market mostly occur because of several factors, namely a percentage change in transportation components by 9.5%, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels by 3.4%, and food and also non-alcoholic beverage by 3.2% in the year 2021. Next is for answer what types of inflation happen in China and the United States US. Give a reason for your answer. For 3B, which is both China and the United States US are experiencing inflation, particularly due to the worsening energy crisis post-pandemic. This is attributed to a cost push factor, resulting for an increase in fuel costs, impacting production costs and also contributing to higher price level. For number C, for 3C is briefly explain economic policy could be used and how the implementation of the policy will change the price level. The economic policy suggested involve macroeconomic stabilization mechanism through fiscal and financial intervention. Short-term action plans include tax incentive for company, one-off tax exemption and subsidy based on productivity. The fiscal approach aims to observe and offset inflation effect, while the monetary approach provides flexible financing to introduce drivers to support business cash flow. Question number 4, explain who benefit from inflation. Inflation can benefit debtors because they can repay loans with money that has a lower purchasing power than when the loan was acquired. It also benefits individuals who have fixed rate debts invested in assets that appreciate with inflation, such as real estate, and also benefit them. And for question number 5, discuss the reason why inflation is considered to be a problem for an economy. Inflation is considered a problem for the economy for several reasons, including A, which is reducing consumer purchasing power, which is inflation erodes consumer purchasing power because the currency depreciated when inflation occurs in the country. This means that each unit of currency will buy less in terms of goods and services. This can lead to decrease in the standard of living for those with fixed income. Next is B, economic growth, which is an increase in the inflation rate will affect the country's economic growth, causing a decline in investment returns and negatively impacting export competitiveness. Export levels will decrease, leading to reduction in income. Next is C, trade balance deficit, which is the balance of payments position will worsen as domestic goods because more expensive in the foreign market, while foreign goods become cheaper. Due to the cheaper foreign goods, import will increase while export decrease, resulting in deficit in the balance of payment. D, which is exchange rates. If Malaysia experience a trade deficit, demand for the Malaysian ringgit will fall compared to the USD. As a result, the USD become more expensive than the Malaysian ringgit. Businesses to invest and create more. F, reduction in savings. The purchasing power of money decreases when the inflation rate rises. As a result, individuals are less likely to save their money. The public is more inclined to invest in other ways rather than saving. G is income distribution. There is a wider gap in income distribution among groups of people. In other words, there will be winners and losers. The group that benefit are businesses, investors, and farmers also because they gain from the price hike. Additionally, debtors benefit as they can repay borrowed debts in the same amount but at a lower value when paying back their loans. Furthermore, shareholders benefit because higher prices lead to higher profit for companies and consequently higher dividends for shareholders. Finally, strong labour unions succeed in negotiating for higher wage rates.
The answer for question 1, labor force participation rate in 2013, male 3.81%, female 9.13%. For 2014, male 0.96%, female 3.80%. 2015, male 1.47%, female 2.30%. And unemployment rate in 2012, male 2.96%, female 3.16%. 2013, male 2.92%, female 3.44%. 2014, male 2.67%, female 3.22%. 2015, male 2.92%, female 3.15%. The question 2, the answer is in 2013, labor force participation rate showed an obvious distinction in the rate of male and female. 2014, both genders have a little increase. 2015, the difference in participation rate between men and women is still present with slight change in both. 2012, women's unemployment was slightly greater than men's. 2013, a small drop in the unemployment rate for both genders, but women have a higher rate. 2014, there was a little decrease for both genders. 2015, unemployment male are increased and female are decreased, but the rate of female higher than men. For question 3, in my opinion, the reason for the increasing number of female participation in the Malaysia labour force is first, improved economic prospect, 2, transition to a knowledge-based economy, 3, greater educational access, 4, campaigns for women's empowerment, 5, technological development.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Fadina Syarudini Zain. My matric number is A22A0277. So based on the statistic, first question is what kind of tariff has been imposed? So the answer is according to the article given, India imposed additional tariff on a number of Australian agriculture product export in July 2018. This tariff led to the reduction in volume of food export to India. The value of Australia fresh food export to India reached 231 million from November 2016 to October 2017. In contrast, export fell to 144.24 million from November 2018 to October 2019. And cherry export to India declined from 122 million in 2017 to 76 million in 2019, while apple export decreased from 20.7 million in 2017 to 30 million in 2019. To ease the effect of the tariff on Australian farmers, the government purchased surplus commodities in October 2019, as was done for surplus soybeans and pork. The Australian government purchased 83 million of fresh apple, 104 million of citrus fruits, and about 22 million in palms. So next question is, what would be the ramification of India's slipping attack on Australia's agriculture exports? So the answer is the imposition of tariff by India on Australian agriculture export has several ramifications. So first, reduction in export volume. The tariff have led to a significant reduction in the volume of food export from Australia to India. So net declines in export value. The value of fresh fruit export, particularly cherries and apples, has decreased substantially, impacting the revenue generated from these exports. So C is impact of domestic price, which is the policy price index for fresh fruits and melons in Australia has been affected with notable decline in price, especially for plums. And then the government's intervention, which is the Australian government intervened by purchasing surplus commodities to support farmers affected by the tariff, indicating the need for mitigation measures. So the third question is, using the appropriate diagram, examine the effect of tariff on Australian trade. How has welfare changed? So the answers is the diagram above illustrates the market for Australian agriculture product in India before and after the imposition of tariff. Before the tariff, the market was at equilibrium where the supply and demand curve intersected at E0, indicating the equal quantity and price at which Australian agriculture products were sold in India. After the tariff, the supply curve shifts leftwards, which represents the decrease in supply due to increased cost of goods as a result of the tariff. The new equilibrium point is at a higher price and lower quantity than before the tariff. This shift result is in loss of welfare as shown by the yellow shades area, which is represent the deadweight loss to the tariff. The imposition of the tariff has led to a reduction in consumer and producer surplus, and the creation of deadweight loss, which is loss of economy efficiency. When a tariff is imposed, the price of goods increase and the quantity of goods decrease, leading to a loss of welfare in both the importing and exporting countries. So last question is based on the above article. Evaluate and critically analyze the benefit and drawbacks of international trades. So first, the benefit is economic growth, which is international trade can contribute to economic growth by expanding market and promoting specialization. So B, access to diverse goods, which is country can access goods that may not be available domestically, leading to increased variety and consumer choice. So C is efficiency gains, which is specialization allows country to produce goods more efficiently, leading to overall efficiency gains. Next, the drawbacks. So first, trade barriers, which is tariff and other trade barriers, can hinder the flow of goods and lead to the reduced trade volumes. So B is dependency, which is over-reliance on international trades, can make a country vulnerable to economic fluctuations in global markets. C. Inequality, which is the benefit of international trades may not be distributed evenly, leading to inequality. And in this specific case mentioned, the drawbacks are evident as imposed tariff Australian agriculture exports and lead to government intervention to mitigate their effect on farmers.
Case study 7. Pop into bicycle dumping from abroad. Question number 1. What is the meaning of dumping? Dumping is the practice of exporting goods to a foreign nation at a price that is less than what they would sell for back home. This is frequently regarded as an unfair trade in the context of international trade and can have detrimental effects on the importing nation's domestic sectors. Question number 2. Suggest 2 reasons why the foreign firms dump their bicycles in Malaysia. The first reason is overproduction productivity. When foreign companies have more production than they can handle and need to get rid of extra inventory, they may resort to dumping. They might be able to recover some expenses and keep up production levels by offering their products for less in a foreign market. The second reason is competitive market. In order to increase one's market share in the importing nation, dumped goods may also be used as part of a competitive strategy. Foreign companies can be potentially gain market dominance by attracting a larger consumer base by providing items at a lower price. Question number 3. Is dumping viewed as an unfair act? Yes, dumping is undoubtedly seen as an unjust act in the context of international. It can cause material injury, disrupt fair competition, and undercut local pricing, all of which can be detrimental to harm industry. Government frequently enact anti-dumping laws to shield their native sectors from unfair business practices. Question number 4. Explain 2 effects of such dumping on local bicycle producers. The first effect is loss of sales and market share. Local manufacturers may see a drop in the sales and a fall in their market share when cheaper. Foreign bicycles flood the market. This may have detrimental effects on the long-term viability and profitability of domestic bicycle producers. The second effect is price undercutting. Dumping may result in the sale of imported bicycles in Malaysia at a substantial discount to local bicycle prices. Local producers may find it challenging to compete on price as a result, which could result in a loss of market share. Question number 5. Explain any 3 measures that the Malaysian government can take to eliminate dumping, as mentioned in the last paragraph. The first measure is conducting investigation. As the new article states, the government can carry out exhaustive investigations to ascertain whether dumping is taking place and evaluate its effects on the regional economy. This can serve as a foundation for putting the right policies in place. The second is diplomatic negotiations with exporting countries. To resolve the matter, diplomatic negotiations with the exporting nation, as example Hong Kong and China, can be undertaken. It is possible to look for agreements and pledges to support fair trade principles and stop or lessen the practice of dumping. The last one is applying anti-dumping duties. Bicycle imports may be subject to anti-dumping taxes by the government, which would raise the cost to customers. This approach guarantees that goods from other countries are offered at a fair market pricing, which helps to level the playing field.